even though nature has produced of various.
I didn't say they weren't any better. I said they were
Content over everything.
Better choices.
they do on the whole.
They also have the worst. I don't believe there's any such thing as
I don't know. Women get lots of pretty crappy jobs.
I'm glad I wasn't alive during the First and Second World War, because the millions of men who just whipped out their homes and told them marching over the battlefield. No, it's not a great feeling.
I think it depends on the my master for
Well, that's different. I don't. I mean, the carers are predominantly women. They don't even get paid.
So if you want to chat to them, I talk to quite a bit about it because I'm interested in it myself.
Caring for your elderly parents and no pay.
Proving my argument against this position. My point to you is that as asexual, that it's not a gender-specific thing.
Who cares? In some time in the future, having a gender will mean absolutely nothing because everything will be equal.
Yeah, but I hope for that time. I hope for that time as well.
See him, he remained exactly the same after transitioning. He didn't want to fall into a gender stereotype female. He didn't see the reason why he should wear makeup or have a sex change or even hormones. But he now is a woman. This is a woman. Now, but my problem is that women are being pushed out by men, not only in their safe spaces, but also when it comes to athletics and a whole host of things that men like him, who aren't even attempting to.
When they're doing sports, they'll be testing his testosterone levels.
It doesn't matter. They will ignore
against
it.
what?
Well, against the supposed female testosterone
They will
levels.
ignore it. All it needs
He'll be
is
taking.
head.
I suppose he could take some estrogen if he wanted to bring his levels down. But do you? I mean,
I agree with safe spaces. I think women should have safe spaces away from men or men who identify as women.
Well, this is my whole reason I'm here. Because if my 9-year-old daughter wanted to go over to Hyde Park toilet now, okay, she walked in and this guy was in there claiming he was a woman. I have serious concerns for the safety of my daughter based on predatory male
and you're absolutely right.
Statistics.
You're absolutely right to be worried about that. I've never been attacked by a woman, but I've always been attacked by men.
Yes, yeah.
So
this is why I have a dog in the fight. I've got 5 daughters. So, I mean, I've become a feminist. I never thought I would. And you know what? The feminists and the lesbians are actually the ones who are being vilified. You've heard of the word TERF. Trans-exclusionary radical feminists. The transsexual lobby are calling them Nazis, the feminist lesbians. There's an internecine war going on within these kind of groups, and it's because the feminists feel that the 100 years that they've suffered to try and get these, like refuges and all the rest of prisons. This man, he was a twice convicted rapist. When he went to the men's prison, he decided to transition, and they took him in a women's prison, and he sexually assaulted two women. Now, ideologues, the transgender ideologues, will say, "I don't care. This is going to happen again and again and again because he is a woman." That's the only reason I'm bringing
That's
it.
why you need to empower your girls. So you said they're doing
100%.
martial arts.
You know what, my
they
girl
know
goes
how
to
to
judo,
say no.
but I'm more saying to them, look, avoid areas where this could even happen. Be wise, more than
When I was a
because a
kid,
good
I
man
used to carry a knife when I was in the streets because when I went home from somewhere, I was followed in cars, followed on foot.
My daughter goes jogging along the cliff tops in Ireland, and she carries a penknife. You know, so my point is, we're having this discussion is not for me to vilify people. Say again. Well, there's an organic conversational change going on. Which
I'm not saying that.
But you know, in time, all of this. Why can't we just let people live? As who they choose, as long as it has no impact on the people around them.
Exactly.
And what do we care, whether it's their religion, their colour, their sex,
We're all
whatever.
in agreement up until the rubber hits the road.
Yes, but then I said
and this is why we need to
with
talk
no
about
impact on anybody else. That had an impact on anyone else, and that shouldn't be allowed.
Who decides what the impact is?
Well, it's pretty evident.
Yeah. The evidence.
In his case,
the evidence.
in other cases, maybe not so much.
Excuse me, why would a man want to transition to a woman when he's already exerted control over women in raping?
I tell you what.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
This is a really interesting fact. Of 125 transgender inmates, 60 are in for sexual offences in prison. Nearly half of the transgender women are in for sexual offences against women, and roughly 60% of transgender women are attracted to women.
But you cannot.
So
That's a statistic, but you cannot use that as a weapon to attack people that legitimately feel they are trapped in the wrong gender as a child.
No,
you can't use that as ammunition to attack that.
I would
And that's
say
what
women.
he's doing. And that's what this is about as well.
Just because one man has committed murder
It's
doesn't mean we should kill all of
predatory
them.
men, sexual
But it's
predatory
attempted.
men.
It's what it is.
Why are you messing around
No,
with
I
this?
know.
Why
You wanna
don't
go
you-
Latin.
Because 60% of transgender
reducing
women
it
which
to
will
the
infect men
ridiculous.
No,
will
I
be able
agree.
to go into women's safe spaces. Now, if
So
we
you're
don't
not-
read
so
that
you're not talking about
stat,
the men who are
The common
touching people on the
Islamic one
tube
over
and all
there
that
is
nonsense.
you can't have
You're
gay
here doing
people
this
because if
because
everybody
this
was
serves
gay, no
you.
more babies would be born. And
no,
the
because this is
Swedish
new.
Again,
No. This is
it's
adding to it. No,
That's
this is
Why?
no.
Reducing
There are-
to
Why aren't
ridiculous.
you, why aren't you doing a whole host of other good work?
You're talking about this. You're
That's
not
my
talking
friend.
about
My
the
friend
main
Tony's.
danger.
My friend
This is
Tony's
new. Would you
belief
say
is that
this is new?
You're not talking about the main danger.
sort of kind
Why
of
do you
go
think
Also
with
a
that,
bit of
but I'm not.
brainwashing as
Okay,
well
tell me.
goes in there.
No,
Well, I
because
think,
because
you know,
you.
So why are
no,
you talking
to
about
me,
this?
Why,
instead of that?
so let me get this right. You're
Gender
saying, why am I bringing this up
Is
and not bringing
much
up what goes
less
on in
the
tubes?
physical aspects of a person.
I'm
Yes,
saying
is this
why
what you're,
is
is
their
this what you're
hormonal
saying?
makeup.
Yeah, why?
Because we're
And
standing on the
hormonal
cusp
makeup
of
is
decision
not
making that will have
exclusively binary.
an extra harm
Yeah?
on women.
You are
We
not,
acknowledge
you
that
may not.
rapes
You
go
may
on
have
every
more
Friday,
testosterone
Saturday
than me,
night.
and I may have been born with more
There are
estrogen than
I
you.
should
And
rather
he
be
has
talking
none
about what happens
whatsoever.
Friday,
So
Saturday
all
nights
the
in
male
town.
dogs think that he's got their possible
Yeah.
girlfriend.
This is just
but he
started.
is
This is
definitely a
just
male.
started.
But so for me,
Well, why do you think
it's possible
that,
for a person?
why do you think that
It is.
50%
Your mummy's
of
kid, aren't you?
transgender women
Whimper.
in prison are in for sexual
Yeah, your
offences?
mummy's
Why do you
boy,
think
aren't
that is? Why do you think that 50% of transgender women in
I'm really
prison are in for
bored.
sexual offences? Do you think that's a statistic that should worry anybody, or we should extrapolate any conclusions from?
No, he knows that.
50% of transgender women in prison are in for sexual offences against women.
So how many transgender people in total?
125.
No, listen. How many of the whole transgender population?
Yes. I'm talking
Which
about
is
of the prison.
massive.
Yeah, I'm talking
No,
of the
no,
prison
that's
population.
what I'm saying. So how?
No, you can't answer
You're
a question
using
with a question.
statistics
You can't
just
answer a
to-
question with a question. Do
You're-
you
no,
think?
you're-
No, but he can
asking-
question your use of certain statistics
yes,
to hold
yeah.
up your argument.
You're
Okay.
using that. So there's probably a lot of people who.
But
are
whatever
in
you
prison
say
are
doesn't
there
change
for
that statistic.
Sexual violence for violence.
But it's a very narrow statistic.
Yes.
You think?
So-
you think it's a narrow
Very
statistic?
narrow statistic, yeah.
You think that 50% of transgender women
No,
are in for
50% of
sex-
120.
Yes.
So that's 60 people.
Yeah.
And as his question to you, which
Yes.
was a
I'll
valid
tell you the
question, is
ramifications.
how many transgender people are there in the world?
And how many of them
Okay,
are in prison
okay,
for sexual offences?
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
are statistics that would
That's
be more
that's the
important
thing is,
to
what
be
I
able
think
to
you're trying
extrapolate
do-
any
hang
kind
on,
of thing
you're,
out.
You're using what? I
No,
don't, you
you're
haven't brought,
using
no, you haven't brought a
statistics.
statistic. You're using some.
Comes to a statistic fight with
Yes.
a
No,
herb.
whatever you say doesn't change this statistic. I think it's a remarkable statistic.
I think a lot of people who are in prison are there for violence and sexual offences.
Do you
And have
think,
deep psychological
do you think
problems.
that 50% of transgender women actually rape and sexually assault women should be something we need to discuss when it comes to deciding what prisons to put them in?
Yes,
That's
of
all I'm
course it is.
saying.
It's obvious.
Well,
though.
then what are we arguing about?
We're not-
You're
No,
trying to
you're-
knock this
I'm
statistic
arguing
No,
off.
we're
with
not.
your
We're trying to say
general
that
thing.
statistic is not representational of the transgender
Okay.
cohort as a whole.
But would it
just as a
indicate-
very small
Okay.
amount?
Okay.
That clearly,
Yeah.
probably, if you got those people and you had them analysed,
Yes.
I would lay money that the same percentage or higher
Yeah.
would show psychopathic or sociopathic tendencies as well.
Okay, but would you put them in a women's prison if they did?
If they had those things,
No,
no,
no.
I would have them.
Let's bring it down to that. Let's really bring it down to its nuts and bolts. You're the prison governor.
I'm forced to take them-
they take him upstairs to you
Okay,
and say, "Can he
I've
come
already
into your
answered
women's
this.
prison?"
I'd
That's
say
all
yes.
I'm saying.
I'd say yes, and he goes straight into solitary and
it's not
stays there
what
for the
you're
entirety of his sentence.
Should he go into solitary?
It's
Should
not
he go
what-
into
It's
solitary?
not what you're saying though, is it? What
Should
you're
he
doing
go
is
into solitary?
You're using these people to
Right.
demonise a whole
No.
big cohort of
How am
people.
I
That's how it comes
demonising?
across.
How am I
Because it's
demonising?
clear.
Because you're
Tell
deluded.
me anything here that's non-factual. Tell me anything here that's not a fact.
You're using like
Tell me
how many?
anything here
How many?
is not a fact.
Okay, so
Is
how
that
many people?
Is
So
that
you've got
Oxford Dictionary definition
1,
of
2,
deluded a fact?
3,
Yeah.
4. What's that? Is that a trans person?
Yes,
No,
a
that's
trans
a
person.
trans person.
What do they
So
all have
1,
in
2,
common?
3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6 people
Yeah.
on this.
And what do they all have in common?
So what percentage is that? Is
Trans.
it the whole?
Well, I mean, we could sit and we could talk about
And
the
then if
problems
you
of the
th-
whole
if you
world
just
if you
look at
really want to.
transgender-
Why don't we talk about starvation
If
and
you just
things
look at
like
transgender,
that?
you've got 3.
Yes.
3 of the
No.
whole thing. You're using
transgender,
these extreme examples
transgender,
to
transgender.
demonise-
All four of those
whole
people hold in common the word trans. And what I'm trying to do today is to just get some examination of perhaps the ramifications for the future generations.
Shaky ground.
Shaky ground. There's nothing there that's not factual.
You could say that about a lot of things.
Would you say
Yeah.
that any of those people, in your opinion,
Yes.
are liable to be completely sane, as in the medical definition of sane? Any of
In
them?
2013, I'd say they've all got mental delusions and they need therapies
So
to bring
it's-
them round.
okay.
To bring them round. And
Now-
if they can't, they
now-
should be treated with sympathy
now-
and compassion.
Now what
That's
you
my
say.
statement.
That's your
yeah?
statement. So,
Yeah.
so now are you saying, therefore, that anybody that identifies as transsexual, right,
Yeah.
has the same condition?
I do, yes.
There you go. And that's all I needed to know. So you truly believe that anybody that believes that
Yeah.
they are
I
different
believe that anybody who
must-
believes they're born in the wrong body is suffering from either delusion, which is a non-medical condition, because I think lots of people can live deluded lives without being mentally ill, or they're genuinely mentally ill. In 2013, they would have been considered that. Roll it back to 2013. But something's changed. The gender dysphoria definition isn't the same as what it was in 2013.
No, and on that point I agree with you. That it's
Yeah.
become fashionable somehow, and people that
Yes.
probably aren't sure feel that that will give them an identity,
And
that
I
that
think
will give
lots
them
of
some
boys
kind
who
of
are
meaning.
confused.
I agree with
Yeah,
you on that.
okay, yeah.
But what about hormonal imbalances caused by accidents of birth, or just the way we are?
All of those need to be
So
dealt with
I'm-
on a case-by-case
so
basis.
I'm born with a penis as a baby that's male,
Yes.
but I have a massive amount of estrogen and a very much lesser amount of testosterone.
Okay.
Naturally, that's
Yeah.
how I was made. As
sure.
I grow up,
Yeah.
I am going to exhibit the dominant hormone is going to be the one that dictates my behaviour. Estrogen will be the dominant hormone in this little penis-wielding child, but I will look at people who I feel more affinity with,
Sure.
and they will be the ones that are estrogen rich as well. The majority of
Yeah.
those will be females. So
Yeah.
I will start to feel more affinity to
Yeah.
those people
Sure.
than these people that are kind of that have got loads of testosterone and are going
But
around
would it
whack-a-mole in
change?
all the other kids in the
Would
nursery.
it change your biological
No,
identity?
it can't change my biological
This
identity.
is it. But we're moving now into
But-
the realms where the law will say it does, to the point that people can access women's safe spaces.
What happens is then is that if that person is nurtured and allowed
Yeah.
to grow up with that,
Yeah.
to get to a point where they become a functioning adult that's able to make independent, informed decisions,
Sure.
and they say, well, look, I really, inside, I'm not this gender,
Okay.
and I don't want to be forced to live this gender because
Right.
it's not
Are
me.
we talking about a functioning adult who's making that
Well, we're
decision, or a
talking about-
4-year-old child?
Well, clearly not a 4-year-old child.
We're
but-
moving into those realms.
No, I know, and again, I don't disagree with
We
you
are,
on that,
we are,
but
100%.
don't use that as ammunition to attack the people that might be legitimate.
No,
I
it's not-
agree with you completely on
Yeah.
that, but if a 4-year-old feels that, and as a parent or whatever, or as you know, concerned workers, adults, teachers, you go, okay, maybe there's, and you measure their hormones, and you go, actually, yeah, they seem to have a predominance of the opposite hormone. Then maybe you just nurture them until they're of an age.
Right.
where
When you
they
say
can then
nurture
say-
them, because the evidence says
as in, you don't
that
go, no, you're a fucking boy, you're a
No,
fucking
no.
girl.
What you do?
don't
What you do?
that.
The evidence used to be that what the clinical. No, can I
that's
just
what
finish
we
this?
used to
No,
do.
what they used to do.
is
What they
pull your
used to do.
socks up
No,
just
no,
you're a
no,
boy,
they
get
didn't.
out
No,
there.
they didn't. When it came to being presented in front of
Play with
a
fucking dolls.
psychiatric clinician, they would say, "Leave them alone. Don't say anything to them." And 80% of them would just go through that transition to adulthood and live perfectly happy
no,
lives.
no, no, no,
What's
no,
happening
no,
now
no,
is,
no, no,
as soon
no.
as they present, "I
No,
like
no,
the
no.
colour pink,"
Let's-
they're being
can I
fast-tracked
stop- can I
right
s-
into a pair of
can I
knickers and
stop
straight
you at
onto
a point
hormone
there?
blockers.
Can I stop you at a point
You
there
may,
where
yeah.
you possibly glossed over a possible... So you
Right.
leave them alone,
Yes.
and they grow up,
Yeah.
and a lot of
They
them...
go through
and
puberty.
80% of
Puberty.
them go on...
Hey, you're looking smart.
To continue
Where are
to-
you
to
now?
live
Sorry,
in the
yeah.
gender that they're
Are you
born.
coming back in?
No, come over there a bit later.
Okay, are you outside the park?
Right there at the gate.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got,
Yeah, I'll see you down there. Identitarians. Yeah.
There's delusion for you.
No, there isn't. No, he's dressed like that to provoke the conversation.
Yes, right.
Yes.
You say that 80% of them go on to live normal lives.
Yes,
and
yes.
I hope you,
Well, let's say the suicidal rate is nowhere near what it is if you intervene, which becomes like 40%. Which
we
is
have
huge.
no evidence, and therefore we cannot state that those people, that those 80% that carry on, don't just bury their difference inside them and reconcile themselves to living.
I think the study actually included seeing how they fared in later life. I don't know what the study is. I haven't got it there.
That's my worry.
But what do you think of? What do you think of him?
100 years ago in this country, how many males that were identified as homosexuals buried that and went on to become married men with families?
I'm sure you can change it.
Would claim that if they'd have been left alone as children, they all got on with their lives and they pulled their socks up and they did the proper man.
Actually, let's look at the evidence. The evidence on what I'm presenting to you is that 80% of young children who have sexual confusion, if they're left alone, when they go through puberty, end up living perfectly. When I say normal, I mean it in the classic term. However, when you intervene, immediately their suicide rate, pre-transitioning and after transitioning, remain the same, which is astronomically high. That's a fact.
Again, that's the bad statistic.
What? Is it a factual statistic, though?
It's a bad statistic.
How do you have a bad statistic?
What you're doing is, the vast majority of people who have
confusion,
gender,
sexual confusion,
they don't do anything about it. They do. They go and they go through puberty. That's the vast majority. The ones who are who continue to have confusion, they're very likely to be suicidal. By definition, I think they have very bad confusion.
You know, I can see where you're coming from, but I think like now. Go on.
You've got to be a man.
No, I don't even think it's worth carrying on. You've said so many things to me that I haven't even said. It's hard to hold a coherent conversation. You just said, I say to them they should be a man. Where did I say that?
No, I didn't say that.
What did you just say?
I'm saying you've got to be a man.
Who? I've said to them you've got to be a man. No, what you should do, you don't. I'm not aware, especially in the last 30, 40 years, maybe in the 1950s Hollywood kind of John Wayne kind of things, you could come up with that. But I don't remember my dad saying to me and my two brothers, having a real conversation about the polarities between being a man and a woman. We just developed naturally and we were quite happy and we got through puberty, which was a very confusing time. Yeah. Well, the stats are on my side anyway.
You developed according to cultural norms of the time.
Well, our mental health statistics for suicide weren't as high as if you intervene at the age of 4 and put a child in a pair of knickers and change their name.
Incidentally, being a man makes you much more likely to be suicidal.
Makes you what, sorry?
Being a man makes you much more likely to commit suicide.
Being a man? Yeah, because their roles in society have become so confused. Never used to be the case. Never used to be the case. From the 1960s and upwards, it's become astronomical because their roles in society, there's gender confusion, that men don't know what it is to be a man. No wonder they're jumping.
What is it to be a man?
Well, this is it. They don't know.
No, I'm asking you. What is it to be a man?
That's such a huge or such a small question, I'm not sure how to ask it. It probably is easier to define than it is to say if I was a cat. Huh?
The thing is, there isn't an answer.
Do what comes naturally.
Is there anything that defines you not as a man?
Yeah.
Which is?
Say again.
Is there anything that would define you not as a man?
Not as a man. First of all, you've got to define that question. Do you mean a biological man, a gender man, or what kind of man
an emotional
are you talking about?
I think biological is very overrated.
Okay, yeah. I think if we look at it this way, you have two polarities when we're looking at the biological sex: male, female, and intersex, which is a very, very rare condition. Okay. Outside of that, you have gender. Gender does not change your biological polarities. It doesn't, but it does now because your gender is the defining characteristic, way and above your biological sex, to the point that people even start hormone blockers, etc., to, I would say, to dupe the person into believing something that is factually incorrect.
And what is gender related to? What's the pathology?
Well, yeah, I think gender's moved healthily on from what it was. So as I said, my daughter is not given a fairy costume and a princess costume and things like that. She goes to judo, she wears a baseball cap, she can have access to as many male things as she wants, and she's not confused. And I think it's good that we move beyond gender stereotypes up until when a child wants to be, when a boy wants to be a girl, then all the gender stereotypes kick in.
But that wasn't the question.
Given pink dresses,
that wasn't the
given
question
all
I
these
asked.
bits, given lipstick. In fact, those boys are being told to conform to the worst of gender stereotyping.
But that wasn't.
Yeah,
that wasn't
they don't
the
go out and
question I
buy the
asked.
stuff themselves. Do they?
With respect.
Do they? What do you think about boys who want to be girls who are then being led to the worst gender stereotyping that we want to put away in the dark ages? Because that seems to be the general norm. If you look on any of the trans kids things, you'll see all of the boys are wearing the stuff that girls don't even wear anymore. It's actually embarrassing to see how the parents are leading them through this to reinforce what I would say is a delusion.
But again,
But you're all great guys, and I don't mean anybody
back to
any
the
harm.
question. It's not the question I asked you. Because you gave me the cultural reasons and the kind of psychosocial reasons. I asked, what is in your view, the pathology of gender?
Okay.
Because I believe it's hormonal.
I agree. I think going back to the one reason I'm down here to discuss is, can you be born in the wrong body? I agree with the 2013 definition of sexual identity disorder. Okay, and some people may have to live as women, and it would be polite to acknowledge them as women when they are really, really deep into this delusion. Okay, what I would say. But we're now changing. Say again. Well, this is why, if we're going to have gender-neutral toilets, we better make sure that it is so safe, and it wouldn't take much. Do them all like Victoria Station. One great big corridor, there's a guy there taking the money, you have closets that go from floor to ceiling. Most women's toilets, you've still got tops, bottoms, camera, you know, it's dodgy even now, but...
So have you been to the continent lately?
I've been to France, they just have a rope hanging up or something like that.
But they have unisex toilets everywhere in the continent.
Okay, yes.
And they have had for 100 years.
Right.
And they don't have the problem that we invent here. They haven't got, we're inventing a bogeyman on the strength of a few small cases.
But those few small cases wouldn't happen if we... So what you're saying is that we actually shouldn't have a ladies and a gents on the toilet thing.
I'm saying that if we went the...
Oh no, I've got you, the penny's clear, I'm now with you. I think you can have gender-neutral toilets, but I don't think you can have women's toilets that men are allowed access to.
No, well, that's a different...
That's different.
Yes, it's a different thing, of course.
Because at least in gender-neutral toilets, everyone knows that this is a space where men and women are going to be.
Yes.
But when you send your 9-year-old to go to the toilet, and she goes to the women's toilet, you kind of expect there not to be a guy like this in there.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what? Actually, I was talking about someone. Like, so, Rob, I don't know how old you are. Anyway,
More on the side.
There's a recent phenomenon. Maybe you do it yourself. So
You're throwing it for a roll.
when you go into a men's toilet with a little girl.
Say that bit again, I want to hear that. If you go into a men's toilet...
Yeah, if you go into a men's toilet now, like when I was a kid, which was a long time ago.
Yeah, not as long as me, mate.
You would never ever see...
You can be any age you want, though.
You would never ever see, I can't ever remember seeing, a dad bringing his daughter into a men's toilet.
No, me neither.
No, but I remember seeing boys being brought into women's ones if they need to go to the toilet quickly, and that wasn't a problem.
Boys, you do when you were a little kid, you go into a men's toilet.
Tony gone back into jail?
Say again?
Tony Robinson, is he gone back?
I don't know. I'm doing something a bit different here.
There was a talk, he appeared in court last week.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's out until the next court case, from what I understand. I don't know. I really don't know.
So with the
No, I ran like
Tony Robinson, he started right away, but he had a followers, and he left.
For sure.
If he had carried on, clean up the nasty one, he could have been like, he would have had more MPs than he did.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. But at the moment, this is more about whether a man can turn into a woman. Can you decide what sex you are? What do you think? From a Muslim perspective.
Yes, I mean, some people, they are not happy with their body. They want to become opposites. It's up to them. As long as they say their money, pay money.
But I suppose that the question is, are you forced to believe it? This is it. Anyone can do what they want. If they say to you, you have to agree this is a person, then there's a...
If some people want to live as a woman, or some women want to live as a man, they have the freedom, long as they are not upsetting anybody else.
Okay,
not
yeah.
interfering with other people.
Sure. But would you be a Muslim? Yeah. You'd be a Muslim?
Yes, Muslim.
Yeah. See, I'm a Christian, and we believe that God doesn't put people in the wrong bodies.
That's my answer.
Do we? He doesn't do that. It's only
Moses,
atheism that's now allowed all of these things to spring out.
Moses was criticised by the people. They said he's gay.
There is a culture.
Yes, not in the Bible. They didn't say that.
Yes, it's been written. Bible been changed and altered.
All right.
The Moses, where he went to bath in the river, and he come back. There were no clothes.
Is this in a hadith? Is it?
No, this is
in the Torah.
This
in
is
the Old
this
Testament.
is in the religious book. This could be could be hadith.
Sure.
Yeah, but God doesn't mention about when it comes to sexuality.
Okay.
It could be a hadith.
Could I ask you a question? Could I ask you a question? Because say again, sorry.
Hello, Messiah have arrived. Messiah have arrived.
There was a prison officer, lady, who was here, and I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Karen White, who was transferred from a male prison to a female prison. Now he was a convicted rapist who'd raped 2 women, and she said that she had an incident where a man was in a men's prison, but to get to a woman's prison, he started to say he was a woman and he wore lipstick, etc., etc. But when he got to the women's prison, which this lady, prison officer was, he took his makeup off, grew a beard, and went around saying he was going to rape everyone in the prison. But what happened then, the women, who were vulnerable anyway, lots of being sexually abused, they were self-harming and all of these things. So she said now, I mean, you, as far as cells go, if you arrest somebody, say you arrest me, and do you have women's cells, do you have group cells, or you don't? Okay, because if I was to say to you I'm actually a woman, you'd have to believe me now.
But what I know, gay guys,
in a police station, not in a prison.
In fact,
okay,
because there are certain prisons for women, certain prisons for males.
Yeah. But I mean, you're doing the same with prison. I mean, you're all part of protecting society.
Yeah, but
the question now is, what do we do with convicted sex offenders who say that they're women going to a woman's prison?
Down to the prison. The prison people to turn around and say, right, okay, they'll have to look into that. So, as far as police officers go, it's totally different to the prison officers.
Well, that could be a reason. That could be a reason why somebody would want to
whether you say you're female, whether you say male, it makes no odds. But you get put into a cell. You're not saying you go into a cell with a male, you wouldn't. You're a cell. You'll be on your own.
Okay. But if you wanted to search me and I said I was a woman, you wouldn't be able to search me, would you?
Not a police officer.
Only a female one?
No, a male.
A male prisoner, a male policeman can search.
So I used to be a schools officer. And that was such a contentious thing. I said, right, I'm walking down the road. I've got a male police officer with me. They're like, yeah. Okay. I said, I see a woman and a known bloke, a known scally. Yeah. Okay, no worries. And he puts like something in her pocket.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you the blokes. What can I do? I can't do anything. What? I'm with the male police officer. As long as we've got cover, and don't forget now, everything we do is recorded. Everything we do is recorded.
Sure.
So we then turn around and say, okay,
you couldn't intimately search some.
Oh no! If we took it and we thought that we saw it,
you'd have to take it to the cell.
We'd take it to, and then that'd be a female.
Okay,
that would be what you call a strip search.
For sure.
Any strip searches, only male can do on male.
Interesting. You know, with stop and search is a big hot thing at the moment. If you stopped me and wanted to search me, and I said no, you're not going to because I'm a woman, you couldn't search me because if you did, then if you touch me anywhere intimately, I could say you sexually assaulted me.
We do something called jog. Everything with the police is jackets, outer garments. That's what we do.
Okay,
we can search you, and I can pat you down.
Even if I'm a woman?
Yeah, I can. I couldn't do it on my own.
All right.
I couldn't do it on my own.
So no woman would have to be there. 2 men could.
2 men.
Serious? Wow, I thought that would open the doors for a whole load of litigation.
I think that's where you've got to be very careful. Because if I felt that I thought that she put something in somewhere a bit more quiet,
then
I'd say, I need it to go, get a cell, believe that she may have something on there that she shouldn't.
Okay.
And then
he's taken his ladder with him.
2 females normally, 2 females. Sure. At least 1 DDO. Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. I tell you what, your life is not going to get any simpler, is it? Heartbeats a long time ago, isn't it?
I wish it was. The radio.
I know.
When I first joined, we didn't have cameras. But I think it's good because We stopped before. I've stopped a few people before, and in here I was, you know, and I'm stopping people, and they say, "You said this, you said that." I said, "I didn't say that," because they want to get out.
Actually, that helps you.
It does help, and it also it backs you up as well because it does help us. There's no two ways around. Because I've turned around and said, "Well, hold on, I'll call you out. We're having a very civilised conversation. I can walk away. You could turn up and say, "Well, I just spoke to PCT. Just call me." No, I didn't. I didn't say that, but it does happen.
Okay, he misgendered me. And you've been misgendered. You assume I'm a man, don't you? Why is that?
I just presumed.
You mustn't do that,
never
mate.
Presume.
Don't dead name me.
Never presume. Never presume. I got told that years ago when I was young.
And I take it you're a policeman, not a policewoman. I mustn't assume.
Police officer.
Police officer.
We're not allowed to be policemen.
Right. I'm just a member of the public.
Years ago, Heartbeat, it was WPC. And now it's only PC, so you're only a police constable.
That's when you were a force and not a service.
Exactly.
Yeah. But all my advice would be don't misgender people too often.
I would never misgender.
You won't get to the top with Crescinda Dick.
I'm never going to get to the top. I'm on the way down here.
Crescinda Dick, is it Crescinda Dick? Cressida Dick. That is a woman, isn't it?
That is a woman. I think so. So she says.
She could be wrong.
Because I think all the top
her
people,
husband, her female husband might disagree though.
Female husband.
Yeah, that's what she got.
All the top people, in the fire office, the ambulance service, and the
they're all lesbian women.
All female.
Most of them are lesbian women. Yeah. Not that matters.
That's down to you.
No, as long as you get your money at the end of the week. Yeah. This video ain't going to do you a lot. You're going to climb up the ladder there, mate.
I don't care.
Pension soon?
No, not for a little while. What are you trying to say? You should never gender age someone.
Oh yeah, you could be a 6-year-old. He could be a 6-year-old.
You should never age someone.
Yeah. Stop pretending you're a policeman.
I'll take you back later.
Yeah, I knew you were a fraud. See ya. Okay. Oh dear, hiya. How's it going? Yeah. Okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah, content over everything. Big fudge. Yeah. Time out. Okay. Whew.
Content over everything. From your melody. Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
Lifestyle choices like becoming a vegan or becoming a pacifist are not going to save Britain from immorality. And neither is being a sanctuary. The only thing that will save Britain. The only thing that will save people like you. Yeah, it comes Chris. No, the only thing that will save Britain from its problems is more democracy and more freedom for the British people. Right now, the average Briton has absolutely no say in how this country